In these slides, we are going to describe about Oracle SQL functions. Oracle SQL functions are built-in capability to perform calculations on data. And based on the types of things that you are going to do, Oracle has given you multiple types of functions. And essentially, we are talking about a total 5 different types of functions available in Oracle. So 5 types of functions, and let's essentially go through each of them, and we are going to describe all the necessary functions in more details in next couple of slides. So first function is a single row function. So in this case, the input is one row, and then we are getting one output, one row. And in case of second function is multi-row functions. Here we return single results. So return is single results based on multiple set of data. So multiple set of data input and one output. And next one is analytic function. And this is similar to multi-row functions, except that we may get multiple outputs. And for this object relational database, we use various types of object reference functions. And the last one is model functions, which is of not that really important for this class. So essentially in this class we are going to discuss about these two types of functions, single row functions and multiple row functions. Multiple row functions also called as aggregate function. All right. So let's see an example. Why do you need a function? Let's say my data set is something like this. So whenever I do a select ename, sal from EMP, I'm getting data like this. So I ask you two questions. Can you give me a report where I can get the employee name in lowercase? Employee name in lowercase. That means what my output is supposed to be, instead of capital K-I-N-G, it should be K-I-N-G. It should be P-L-A-K-E. So these are all lowercase character. So essentially what I'm asking you is that this is the data which I have in my database. What should I do? What transformation should I do so that I can get a lowercase employee name? That's a question number one. Question number two is, can you tell me what is the maximum salary in this table? So what is the max salary for this set of data sets? Right? So we have 14 data sets. So what we are saying is that we have 14 salaries, and do something so that I will get the maximum salary. Okay. So how to do that? You use Oracle's built-in capabilities, Oracle's built-in functionalities, which is called function. Use function to get these two question answer. Even more questions that is required, more question that can be answered by using functions. All right. So in next slides, as you saw in my previous slide, that we are going to discuss about single row function and multi row function. All right. And let's go to the single row function. So essentially what you're seeing here is types of single row functions. So we have around 6 types of single row functions, and depending on what kind of things we are doing, we are categorizing those into various types of category. All right. So the first category is a character function. So character function, what it does, it accept character input, and it can give either a character output, char output, or a number output. Okay, so accepts a character input and returns a character output or number output. In case of number function, it returns always a number output and accepts always a number numeric input. All right, and then in date function, we use date function to do various date manipulations, and we are going to give a lot of examples whenever we are going to discuss those things in detail in next couple of slides. And then we have conversion function, so that we can convert from one data type to another data type. And also we have generic functions like NVL, decode, and all this thing. And to access the large object, we need some special functions to work with. Example, empty underscore blob. Right. So these are the built-in functions we are going to discuss as a part of our single law functions. So let's go to the next slide, the character function. So as I told you in my previous slide, we are going to, in character function, we are going to have one character, character input, and it can give me either a character as output, or it can give me an output as a number. Okay, so essentially what we are talking here is we are talking about this diagram, that in case of a character function, returning character value or returning numeric value. All right, so let's do some example how what kind of thing. So let's say I have a string. My string name is called Oracle. Okay, so what I want to do, is there any way I can find out what is the substring, what is the first three character of substring of this string. Okay, to use that, I will use a function called substr. Then if I give Oracle, then I can give them the character from which I need to start, and after how many character I should stop. So if I give 1, 3, then it will start from here and it will go up to 3 characters. So the answer will be ORA. All right. And then say, for example, I have two strings. One is hello and another string is world. So what should I do so that I can concatenate both the strings? For a function for that is concat. And then I give the two parameters like hello, comma, world. Okay. And the next one is character function returning number value. Say, for example, I would like to know what is the length of this string Oracle. Okay, so in that case, what I do, I give length, the function name is length, and then inside that I give the string. And so here it takes a character, and the return value would be the length of the string 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so you might be surprised, like, how do I know this substring? How do I know concat? How do I know length? Or is there something more, or more functions are available? The answer is yes. And how do you find out about what are the functions are available in character functions? You go to the Oracle 10G or Oracle 11G. So go to Oracle 10G or 11G SQL reference material. And in SQL reference material, you can find about the chapter called functions, and inside functions, whatever built-in Oracle functions you have, you will find the documentation. You will find documentation about all the built-in Oracle SQL functions. So here is an example. So this is the chapter that I'm talking about, and if you go scroll down, so these are the functions. See, for example, there is a function called replace, rtrim, rpair, translate, treat, and all this thing. So, and whenever you want to see a function, you click on that. So you'll see a detailed syntax, how it is used, and also important thing is that you're going to they will give you a lot of examples of how to use that function. So the idea is here is this, like, for example, you find out what you need to have. Right. So first find out your requirement of the query, like what you want to achieve, and then you try to find it, you go to the Oracle SQL reference material and try to see if there is a functions that can do. If there is a functions, then use that, right? So that is how I come to know about substring, I come to know about concat, I come to know about length, right? So what we're discussing here is single row functions, and single row functions we are discussing about character function right now, and we describe about various character functions. So if you remember, let's go back to our thing. So we discuss about this character functions. So let's go to the number functions. All right. So the numeric functions does something, as I told you, it accepts a numeric value and returns a numeric value. Okay. So again, what we are going to do, we are going to give a lot of example to see, like, what are things are there. So here is some examples. Say for example, I have a number, say 14926, and I want to round it to the next two digit. So the answer of this thing is 14.93 because it's 14 to 92. Since 92, it will go to the next higher number. Okay. Then if you want to truncate, you just want to truncate 14.926 to, so that is just going to give, it will remove the last one and it will give the answer 14.92. And modulus is going to give you the remainder. If you divide 2600 with 300, this value is 200 as a remainder. Cell of any number is going to give the next largest number that is possible. So that means cell 26.8 is going to give 27. Cell 26.2 will always also give 27. Similarly, floor is going to go a next digit which is below the number in concern. So in this case, floor of 26.8 will give 26. Floor of 27.1 will give answer 27. It's like that. Okay. So these are the numeric functions that we are going to use in while we write a query, or when we try to solve some real life problem. All right. So again, the summarization, we are discussing about functions. In functions, we are going discussing about single row functions. In single row functions, we already discussed about character function, and then we discuss numeric functions. And now the next one is, let's try to explain about date function. So before we explain date functions, let's try to understand what is this date data type is. All right. So like if you see the employee table, so let's see DESC so this is our employee table. So in employee table we have hire date, and we have hire date, which is a date variable. So if I do select hire, select ename comma hire date from EMP. Okay, so if I do this, so what we're seeing is I'm seeing the hire date at 17 November 81. So essentially this is what we are seeing. But what Oracle does internally is that Oracle stores in a numerical format. Like whatever you see 10 November 1981, all this data is stored in a numerical format, starting with century, year, month, date, hours, minute, second. Okay, so you will show you in this way, but will store in this way. All right, and then the default format is called DDMONYY. So that is the reason why you are seeing the data as 10 November 81. All right, so this is the default format. Right. Then we are given a function, we are given a data called sysdate. So essentially, sysdate is a function which returns the current date. That means in today, if I'm going to run SQL plus select sysdate from dual, I'm going to get today's date, current date, right? And then dual is a dummy table from where we can that table is used to view date. Okay. So for example, if I want to know what is current date, I just type select sysdate from dual. So today is 10 January 11, 2011. Right. So after we have a good understanding of data type, so let's try to do some date arithmetic. Okay. So this is the rule. Whenever we add a date plus a number is always a date. Say for example, today's date is 11/01/2010. If I add 2, so it will be 13/01/2010 is a date. Right? Then we can subtract two dates, date 1 minus date 2. We'll get a number which is the number of days between date 1 and date 2. All right. Say if you subtract now between date 1 to date 2, we get a number. But essentially, that number also contains how many hours. Say for example, as I told you before, that in date, we are also storing the hour, minute, and second. So whenever we subtract this thing, it's not always be a constant number. It may be something like some fraction which accounting for the number of hours. All right. So this is the basic thing that you should understand in a date arithmetic. Okay. So now, how do I use functions? Let's basically take some examples, and then basically while we going to get some example, we can explain this thing much better. So essentially, what I am asking you is this query. Whenever we have this thing in the employee hire date, so we are seeing the hire date like this, right? Can we find out how many number of weeks? So is it possible to find me how many number of weeks the employee has worked? Say for example, today's date is 10th January 11, and this employee King has joined on 17th November 81. My question is how many weeks King is working for. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll use date arithmetic here to get this value, right? So in order to do that, first I need to find out what is today's date. So I do select. So let's also get the enum, comma. So today's date is represented by sysdate, right? Minus. So what is the hire rate? Okay. So I'll put some. Okay. So I need to put a bracket. So basically, what I need to do is I need to sysdate minus hire rate. Then this will give me the number of days, and a 1 week contains 7 days. So therefore I divide by 7, so that's the number of weeks, and then I do an alias weeks from EMP. Okay. So essentially what it says that King has worked for 1520 weeks, 0.87. Right. So this is how you're going to solve the first question, whatever I asked you, that how do I find out how many number of weeks the employee King is working for. Look, in this case, we have used two things. We have used his debt function. We have used death arithmetic. Okay. So now let's do the next example. So that is going to, so this we done. So is there any way that I can write a query so that I can know how many days are left in this month? Say for example, today is 10th January 2011. So if I run this query today, whatever you give me, then it will compute the date of the last day of the month, and then basically it will give me the difference between the last day and today in this month. Okay. So in order to do this thing, we need to first find out what is the day, what is the date of the last month, of the last day of this month. Okay. So basically, the intuition says to me that I need to find out from today's date, I need to somehow find out what is the last day of this month. Okay. So today's date is going to be given by a function called sysdate. All right. So I should go to this Oracle SQL documentation and trying to find out from this reference guide, is there any function which is going to give me what is the last day of this month? If I know what is today's date, I can figure it out what is the last day of this month. Fortunately, you go to date time functions and try to see. In date time function, there is a function called last day, right? So basically what it says that if I do last day of this date, then it is going to give me the last date of this month. Then once I get my last date, if I subtract from the sys date, the current date, so that will give me how many days are left. So essentially this is the answer to that question. If you run this query today, you are going to subtract 31st January 2011 is your last day of sys date, and today is 10th January 2011. So 31 minus 10 is 20. So that is the answer. All right. So what you run here is this, that you cannot memorize everything, and then I cannot tell you all the dates just right now. But what I can give you is this documentation. If you know what's the requirement, go on and see. Oracle will always give you if something that is common, if that is something that is regular. So basically, using these functions, you can even write some functions, which we are going to discuss in our PL/SQL class, how to write a user-defined function. All right. So with this, so what summarization so far we did is this. We learned single row function. In single row functions, we talk about there are 5 types of functions. We discussed completely character function. We discussed numeric functions. We discussed date function. And there are 3 more functions to be discussed. And in our next set of videos, we are going to discuss about those 3.